Hey guys. Okay, so first and foremost, art and animation. Toei made this episode look stylized as fuck, and honestly, I could not be happier with this episode because as I've been hyping up and teasing for the last couple episodes now, this episode marks the start of one of my favorite fights in Wano, Kid and Law versus Big Mom. And honestly, I can't help but feel that already, just the start, this being the start of the fight, they're already doing this fight more justice than the manga, because one thing Toei seems to understand is that Big Mom has been everyone's punching bag through a good majority of this arc. And it's almost like they know that, and it's almost like they pretty much know that, so to them, they ask the question, how do we recapture that feeling that this big bitch is not someone you want to mess with? And they pulled out, honestly for me, Toei pulled out every single one of their old tricks from Whole Cake Island, and even a few new ones that they've taken up with Wano as well to reinforce, yes, there are legitimate reasons Big Mom is the thing that will haunt your fucking nightmares, and why we should fear her as just an enemy, because as an enemy as a whole, because which I believe the anime did add a few scenes of Big Mom throwing Kid and Law around, which I appreciate, and again, just that final shot of the episode alone, though, is enough for me to say, Big Mom is a demon. Like, I think we forget that yes, Big Mom is someone to be feared, and she is a monster, and she just showed that why in this episode she is considered one of the four emperors. With that said, and something that does carry over from the manga, at least for me, is that I like how this fight also quickly establishes that teamwork is a necessity if you want to have a reasonable chance of surviving a battle against the Yonko. And despite them constantly bickering with each other, Kid and Law are kind of the perfect duo to fight Big Mom, because their abilities are both in their own way a perfect counter to Big Mom, which is arguably why I'm so much. I think that's also arguably why I'm so much more critical of the Luffy versus Kaido fight, because after the initial bout where the entire alliance fought Kaido, it ultimately kind of just devolved into the usual 1v1 that we expect from One Piece with just Luffy fighting Kaido. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, inherently, I guess, but the weird thing about the Luffy versus Kaido fight, at least when compared to Big Mom's fight with Kid and Law, is that in the particular case of Wano, it almost felt like Luffy, like, I don't know what happened in the writing process or how Oda was thinking about this fight at the time, but something about this fight just pretty much feels like, something about that fight just felt like it was Luffy just hitting himself up against a wall until something actually hit, which, granted, it eventually did lead to something, again, fellow manga readers, you know, but because it largely felt like Luffy was doing just that, I couldn't help but feel at times like the Kaido fight almost felt like it was on repeat for a good chunk in its second half, until it picked up a little bit in the back half as well. Like how that ties into the Big Mom fight, though. The Big Mom fight, on the other hand, not only allows Big Mom to be a threat, but also demonstrates you need more than cool powers and brute force to beat her. You need to combine those resources and think strategically, and all these elements combined to create a more natural flow to the Big Mom fight, in my opinion. Whereas the fight with Kaido, it just kind of, again, there are moments where it just felt like it was on repeat for me. Again, I'm sure what I just said is going to be an unpopular opinion, get a couple downvotes, but, I'm sorry, I also kind of had to bring that up because I think it is important to know just what it is about this fight to me that works, whereas the Kaido fight started to work, but then not so much after the fact. And yeah, pretty much And yeah, we pretty much learned that sometime, I guess, whether it was before or during the time skip, both Law and Kid had awakened their devil fruit powers, while also admitting they're still working on actually controlling their new abilities, which is a nice way of showing off a power while also saying that there's room to see more and room to improve. Except in this case, even more, that it depends that now that they've used their trump cards, it's gonna make this fight all the more difficult. Which in some respects, I think you could say that you could almost say that Kid and Law used their trump card too early. That they needed to wait, I think, a little bit longer before it was actually possible to, before maybe she was a little bit more weakened. But at the same time, the fact that they used their trump cards and that they did somewhat succeed in weakening her, I think it does at least. I think it is going to help at least somewhat in this second half of the fight. All that said, let's talk about the Soul Pocus scene though, because as I said, Toei really pulled out all the old tricks to make sure Big Mom is a terrifying force in this episode, and in the way Soul Pocus moment was handled was, in a word, amazing. In fact, I think they did it better here than the first time we saw Soul Pocus in Whole Cake Island. When Big Mom used it against her son, just because it felt like there was a much creepier atmosphere this time around, and it was just through them using a smoke and grain effect, which isn't anything amazing, but it's simple enough to leave that sort of chilling impact. Oh shit, Big Mom is scary. Big Mom is about to go absolutely malicious on shit now, and yeah, and the thing is, with the whole Big Mom's demand, life or red bean soup, I think we already knew they couldn't fulfill the demand. She just needed their souls, which makes the act itself all the more demented and perfectly shows she is. Now that Kid and Law have shown what they're capable of, Big Mom is going to use everything she knows in order to ensure she kills Law and Kid. But even more so, she wants to make them absolutely suffer. She wants to ensure that they never cross her again. And the whole ending moment before the to be continued is the perfect way to show Big Mom is about to commit against some absolutely malicious shit on Kid and Law before this fight is over. And just the fact alone that she was willing to sacrifice her lifespan to ensure she would crush them is just terrifying enough in itself, yet still oddly shows that she does have respect for them now, I guess, in some way, some weird twisted way. Of course, interspliced between the Big Mom fight, we get more with Orochi and the Ink Monster rampaging through Onigashima, which, not gonna lie, I know it makes sense to do this way, considering Kanjuro's combined his soul, I guess, with his creation, but giving the Ink Monster Kanjuro's voice is both hilarious, while still giving it this eerie... Or wait, maybe that was Orochi, never mind, but there's just something about, that voiceover over top of the monster rampage, that, it just made it all the more creepy. But while still giving it this, it was one of those things where it's hilarious, but it's still eerie. There's eerie creepiness to it. And that doesn't happen often to me in anime, but it actually gave me a few goosebumps in this episode through through that whole through how that whole scene was edited. I'd even go so far as to say that while I still don't care all that much about what's going on with Orochi in this entire second half of the battle, just getting to hear his Seiyu tap into that idea that, yeah, Orochi's completely given himself to his own madness now, it is both kind of sad but also kind of chilling to see he's so consumed by his vengeance that he's now beyond reason. Now it's all just a matter of waiting for someone to put, at this point Orochi is a damaged. I hate to say this, but he's basically a very sick dog that needs to be put down, and it's just a matter of waiting for someone to put him out of his misery. Which I will say, it does, knowing who does the deed, it is gonna make the little slog to get to that point a little more worth it than I'd initially thought, but still not but it is just going to be a little bit of a ways to get there. Also, still not entirely a fan of the Primus Raizo, and still not a fan of what's his name? I think it's Fukuro Kujo. Yeah, I'm still not a fan of the Fukuro Kujo fight, though. Like, no matter what the anime does to it, it's just not interesting, because Fukuro Kujo himself, I'm sorry, he's just not an interesting character. Like, he's kind of one note, if I'm being honest with you. And I'd say the only, but aside from the Fukuro Kujo fight, and I'd say the only other slow moment for me of the episode was when we shifted focus to Yamato, as she was only ever giving us a status update. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, it's Crunchyroll, be sure to notification bell, subscribe button, and just share the video, guys. Dark Knight of Renee, signing off. Later, everyone.